Welcome to the Box Score. Second year for Murphy and myself to be doing this. And Murph, we're excited. It's football time.
It rolls around very quickly about this time of year, and I think everybody's very anxious to see if all the predictions and all that kind of stuff is going to hold true like a lot of people might think.
Well, Murph, I know it's been a different off season for you. Not printing a book, that's got to be different from the last 25, 30 years.
34 to be exact, right. And it really is, but it's like most people I know, when they talk about retiring and actually do it, they've got more sticks in the fire than they can keep up with, and that's kind of the way it's been with me. I'm writing a book about coaching and their stories, and some of the stories I've received from coaches already are winners. Great stories. So I'm looking forward to that. Got about 110 or 15 stories already written, but about 300 to go.
Right.
So
we want to thank Blackwell Realty and Auction and the Josh Kirby team. They're once again our sponsors for the show, and we want to let them know how much we appreciate him. You see Josh and his gang, we let them know how much we really do appreciate it. And Murphy, we'll go ahead and start with some graphics, and we'll look at last year's standings. Gordonsville on top of Region 4-1A, then Clay County, then Joe Burns, then Red Boiling. That was kind of how we thought going in, and no doubt probably again this year is how that thing will shake down.
One of the few regions in the state that only consists of 4 teams, and it's feast or famine in that particular region, and I think Gordonsville could probably win if they put the other 3 teams and made an all-star team out of them. Gordonsville's got a lot of kids back for this year.
Region 4-2A, looking at those standings, you got Watertown on top, then Trousdale County, then Westmoreland, then East Robertson, Whites Creek, and Harpeth. 6-team region, and a lot of people feel like Watertown and Trousdale, although they lost a lot to graduation, along with Westmoreland, will be the teams to beat in that region.
I've heard a lot of good things about Coach Perry and what he's doing at Westmoreland. I think that Westmoreland Eagle team is probably going to be one of the teams that ends up hosting a playoff game. I'm not sure if it's Trousdale or Watertown they're going to beat. They might beat both of them.
Right. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4-3A standings. Of course, that's Giles County, Cannon County, Sequatchie, Grundy, and Community. And, a lot of people feel like that Cannon and Sequatchie are going to battle for that second place behind the Bobcats, who once again look to have a really good club.
Cannon got them last year via the COVID forfeit. I think that game is scheduled to be played in Woodbury, if I'm not mistaken, and that'll probably be for second place in that other home playoff bid. Giles County certainly still the team of choice in that region. Region
5-3A, of course, that's the one that Smith County was in. East Nashville went all the way to the Blue Cross Bowl in Chattanooga. Murphy, some people probably surprised at that, but a very talented squad. Matt Dyer's in his second year. Had a great first year at Smith County. Then you got Jackson County, Stratford, and Maplewood.
For Smith County to finish the year at 6-6 under a new head football coach with the schedule they played, they did very, very well. And I know Coach Dyer is very excited about catching this East Nashville team down in the pit in Carthage.
Region 4-4A, of course, DeKalb County, Macon, Stone Memorial, Cumberland County, and Livingston. Macon's played some very tough people in the preseason, people like Friendship, CPA, and the likes, Murphy. And, I think when we look at the predictions in a little bit, but this is a region that I think is kind of there for the taking.
Well, I think so. DeKalb and Macon justifiably, I think, at the top of the pick the way the season ended. But Stone Memorial could be the surprise team out of that group. I know they like to throw the football a lot, and they'll certainly test secondaries this year.
Murph, let's talk a little about some things that happened in the off-season. First of all, the Blue Cross Bowl being in Chattanooga. I thought they did a pretty good job of hosting that thing.
Just about everyone that I talked to that was there was tickled to death with it. They're excited about going back to Chattanooga. A lot of restaurants within walking distance. The stadium is almost perfect for a venue like that as far as the number of seats are concerned. Nobody feels like they're in an 80 or 90,000 seat stadium. It's very comfortable for the teams, and if we can just keep some of the teams from setting the field on fire, we'll be okay.
Border Control meets yesterday, Murphy, and extended it 2 more years for the reclassification, which means you'll be in the same region in football as you were. And I think that's probably a good thing. Of course, they'll have to shuffle things around again and say how many classifications and swing this team or that team to here and there. Of course, you know, if you're a Smith County, you probably don't like that being extended 2 years because you don't have but one natural rivalry in the whole bunch, and that's kind of Jackson County, but still, that's what they did.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about Mark Reeves. He's a very special guy that's now the new executive director. Bernard Childress did an outstanding job, I think, a lot better than most people maybe were expecting. But Mark is got that youth, that exuberance, that excitement that he brings to the table. And I think it's a tough time to be ahead of an association like that with the portal and possible cash to high school athletes being in the not too distant future. Actually, there's already 8 or 9 states that have adopted that NIL plan. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Tennessee handles those situations.
Murphy's shortage of officials this year. We're going to have more games on Thursday, more games on Saturday, and of course games on Friday. That's just something that they had to do.
Yeah, they did. There's just not enough guys to handle all those games. And one other thing we forgot to mention, I noticed in the paper this morning that beginning next year, TSSAA is going to set the regional schedule for football.
Right. And let's talk now about the Gordonsville Tigers. Murphy Fair 2022 should be a very exciting season for first-year head coach Steven Jackson, returning a lot of people off last year's region championship team. They're loaded.
He picked a good time to come to the head coaching ranks at his alma mater. 8 offensive starters back, 9 on defense. And a lot of those other slots, people got valuable experience. They may not have been starters, but they got valuable experience at those places. And for all practical purposes, they've got just about everybody back. It's going to be a good year, I think, to be a Tiger fan.
When you look at Matthew Albritton, a 4-year starter quarterback, and you've got a couple of defensive ends, and Will Dudney and Bryson Greer, they look like college tight ends out there, or not tight ends, defensive ends. They're special.
They look like guys that could play for any 5A or 6A team. It's going to be a mismatch for a lot of teams that line up against those guys. You
got Peyton Clymer out there, the receiver, and no doubt they're the pick, the cream of the crop. Although Bruce Lamb and Jimmy Maynard and Mike Dickerson up at Clay County may have some say in that.
I think so, and if I'm not mistaken, they have to go to Clay County this year because that game was at Gordonsville. I was there for that last year, and it's always tough when you have to go on the road, especially as far as Salina might be from here.
Let's go ahead and look at the Gordonsville schedule. One team on there different. They go to Lakeway Christian, a new school, but when you look at the schedule, especially that non-region schedule, Murphy, they've got some tough teams on there.
That Lakeway Christian team is in Morristown, and that's 3 or 4 years ago, there was a big fear in the Knoxville area that private school was going to do a lot of raiding of athletes from the Knox County area. I haven't followed that situation in the last couple of years, so I don't really know what all is there. I know they did hire a head coach last year who was an assistant at CPA, but he didn't even stay for the whole season. So I'm not exactly certain what's going on there.
Murph, when you look at just what's upcoming for Gordonsville, I don't know that it's out of the realm of possibility for them to run the table and go 10-0. I think they're that good.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. We talked ever so slightly about the fact that the next 3 years, everybody's schedule is going to be pretty much the same, at least as far as regional opponents are concerned. But one thing that comes along with what Gordonsville is experiencing right now is the fact that it gets harder and harder to find regional opponents or non-regional opponents. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a region with only 4 teams, that means you've only got 3 guaranteed games. The Smith County game would be 4, but that means they've still got to find 6 games on a schedule, which nobody wants to play Gordonsville unless they have to.
Looking at the Region 4 1A projection, of course, Gordonsville on top, Clay County second, Joe Burns third, Red Boiling fourth. I don't know that that's going to change a lot. Of course, it'll be a big gain in Salina on October the 29th, Murph, but still, I think when you look at that, if Gordonsville can avoid the injury bug, I think not only are they the cream of the crop in the region, but they can make a run to Chattanooga.
It's going to be one of those regions, too, with only 4 teams. Somebody could wind up 10-0, and somebody could wind up 0-10.
Let's go ahead and look at the Watertown Purple Tigers. Of course, Gavin Webster, the longtime head coach in his 18th season there with Purple Tigers. And Murphy, I know they're disappointed out of the last 4 years, losing to the quarterfinals to Trousdale County on their home field. But when you look at that team and the teams that they've had in the past, you know, let's not forget, they beat Trousdale County in the regular season twice in Hartsville, which is very hard to do. And I know they're disappointed with losing those playoff games, but you got to have a pretty dadgum good program if you're going to beat Trousdale County 4 years in a row.
Absolutely, and I think both of those teams this year are looking at a little bit of rebuilding. They've had some really good senior classes at both of those schools the last 2 or 3 years, and it'll be interesting to see what Coach Webster and Coach Satterfield do when they come together with each other here in just a few more weeks.
Of course, we've got to see Watertown twice against the Owls of Smith County. They had a scrimmage 0-0, in fact, with the first team in the scrimmage at Carthage, and then 0-0 in the first quarter in the Jamboree at Gordonsville last Friday night. And it looks that Josh Hackett and his defense, as always, well prepared. And, you know, that'll have to be, I think, their number one driving point for them to have a good season. Their defense has got to play well, and it looks that they have the talent to do that.
And if the other team doesn't score,
right,
you don't lose, right?
That's true. Let's go ahead and look at the Watertown schedule. They open up with a big tall fella. I think he's about 6'7", 6'8" at quarterback again when Fayetteville comes to town on Friday night. Then they go to Gordonsville. 2 extremely tough games, Murph, to begin the
three games on TV. The Gordonsville game, which is always a big one for Coach Webster. He used to wear the big blue of the Gordonsville Tigers many years ago. DeKalb County, a kind of a county rival that they've held their own with and actually beaten a couple of times, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years. And then the Whites Creek game, that'll probably be somewhat one-sided, but a pretty tough schedule nonetheless.
Let's go ahead and look at the region predictions. Trousdale County on top, then Westmoreland, and Watertown, then East Robertson. Murph, I know Westmoreland, lost a lot of close games a year ago.
Yeah, I've heard more than one coach talk about this Westmoreland Eagle team this year. Coach Perry's done a great job up there. I think a first cousin to Roger Perry, who was at Westmoreland as a head coach too. The Perry name very well known in Sumner County as far as high school football is concerned. But I think that's probably about the way it's going to wind up. I understand Westmoreland's going to be very good this year.
We'll preview the Caddy County Lions, the Smith County Owls, the DeKalb County Tigers when we return. As we remind you, you're watching The Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff & Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell. Located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master, certified, and experienced heavy-duty maintenance techs, maintenance supervisor, entry-level and experienced miners and exploration infill drillers, grade operator, electricians, laboratory and metallurgical technician, senior metallurgist, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
At DTC, we're proud to provide the communication and entertainment services you need to get the most from today's technology.
Earn a $25 bill credit for you and $25 for your favorite local school when you add or upgrade internet service or TV with DTC.
Get the technology you want, backed by local customer service from neighbors you know and trust. DTC Communications, your total communications provider.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair in their second year. And Murph, it's been a blast last year, and I'm really looking forward to this year.
They just keep getting better and better. You know, football in this area has always been pretty good, but this year there's more than one team in the area that I think has a great chance of playing deep into November, and we'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out.
You know, we were talking about last year, but all 5 of our teams that we covered made the second round of the playoffs last year, and for an area this small, that just speaks volumes.
I've heard a lot of people say Upper Cumberland football is not very good over the years, but that's rapidly changing, as is football all over the volunteer state. College recruiters not flying over or driving through Tennessee anymore. They're stopping to look at local talent much, much more than they used to.
Let's go ahead and look at the County Lions. They had kind of a surprising season a year ago. Pulled that upset there, Murphy, in that first round of the playoffs when they beat Signal Mountain. Then they went and played against Loudon and lost that, but they've got some people back. Matt Daniel in his 5th season, and really is trying to turn the corner, Murphy, and I think took a couple of steps in that direction last year.
Yeah, they got that first round playoff game at home, and that's the first time that that's happened in a long, long time. So numbers are up. I talked to Matt earlier this week. I went to see their scrimmage on Monday against Jackson County, and with the exception of the very first play of the scrimmage, it was 0-0. Right. Jackson County scored on that very first play, but he's got about 40 kids out on the varsity. Got about 40 kids out in the middle school program too, which is very encouraging for future Lion football teams. And it's not just a basketball school anymore, I don't think.
You look at County finishing above 500. That's a great job by Coach Daniel and his staff. Players to return that, you know, we'll look for is Ryan Perkins, Josh Mingle, Kobe Miller, Matt Harris, and Tucker Kine. And, you know, Murphy, when you look at that and, you know, the struggles that County has had through the years, yet turned the corner last year, I know Coach Daniel well enough, he wants to take another step and continue that growth.
Yeah, Brian Perkins had a 421-yard rushing game last year. Put him number 10 on Tennessee's all-time high school list of rushing yardage. And Josh Mingle, a huge lineman, starting to draw a little bit of OVC interest. I think he's going to play at the next level. He's a player.
Let's look at the County schedule. Of course, you look at Monterey and at Cascade, and then a big game early, their first region game in Dunlap against Sequatchie on the turf.
That opener against Monterey, I think, will be a big test. Monterey pretty well handled Canyon County last year, and I was afraid it was going to have a lot of players saying, uh-oh, here we go again. And then they lost to Cascade too. But last year, that third game with Sequatchie, they got a win. They didn't play on the field. That was one of those COVID wins. And then wins against Webb and Lookout Valley, all of a sudden they had a little momentum going, and that certainly helped. And once the kids start believing in themselves, hopefully they can do that again this year and have another opportunity to have a playoff game in Woodbury.
Just look at the Region 4 3A projections. Of course, Giles County, the Bobcats out of Pulaski, Murphy, I think the cream of the crop. But then you got Sequatchie and Cannon battling to try to host that home playoff game.
Yeah, and that'll be the one that makes the difference, I think. Grundy and Community, I think, still trying to do some rebuilding, although Community looked pretty good in spots last year. The head coach there, his son back at quarterback, and that's certainly going to make a big difference. The football mind taking the snap every time they're on offense.
Let's go ahead and look at the Smith County Owls. Of course, Matt Dyer in his second season, they finished 6-6. Got a big first-round win over Fairview, then lost to White House in the final minute. But they've got some great players returning. Bryce Curry, a guy that went over 1,000 yards a year ago. You got Peyton Hicks, who can play at the tight end position, or at quarterback. Javier Gaspar, an outstanding lineman for the Owls, and also the kicker. Jamison Keeley, an all-state performer a year ago. And then Kylan Johnson, a guy that really performed well for the Owls, who really ran the ball well a year ago.
We talked just a few minutes ago about how many kids are back at the Gordonsville Tiger team. But Smith County's got 10 starters back on both sides of the ball. That's just a repeat of last year's football team in my mind, and should make for a really good season opener tonight.
Let's go ahead and look at the Owl schedule. Of course, they start with Gordonsville on Saturday night, a game you can see right here on DTC 3. And then they've got a tough opponent in DeKalb. Then, when they look, you got Walker Valley, you got Trousdale County. You got some very tough teams, Macon County. Then that final game, East Nashville, which a lot of people will feel will be for the region championship. So Smith County is playing some tough folks.
Well, they are. Walker Valley, a pretty good 5A team, and when I saw that score last year, didn't that game go to overtime?
2 or 3 overtimes.
And I thought, holy smokes, what are the Owls doing playing so well against a quality 5A football team? But the guys put it all together, and that just showed Coach Dyer and his staff what that team is capable of this year.
Let's look at the projections. Of course, East Nashville, the runner-up to Alcoa last year in Class 3A. They're the pick of the crop. Of course, that game with Smith County will be in Carthage on that final Week 11 game of the regular season. You got Jackson County 3rd, Stratford 4th, and Maplewood 5th.
Wonder if the guys at East Nashville have ever had fireworks at the ball game.
Let's go ahead and look at Coach Steve Trapp's team, the DeKalb County Tigers. Of course, Coach Trapp has been at DeKalb as long as Gavin Webster has been at Watertown. 18 seasons, and Coach Trapp just he's got a great offensive mind, and his team last year, Murphy goes to the second round of the playoff, lost to Upperman. I think Upperman maybe went all the way to the semifinals, but still an outstanding season for them. And they've got some players back. They lost quite a few players, but when you look at Kobe Barnes and Brias Trapp and Ari White, Nolan Gottlieb and Ian Jones and John Ellis, some players that just seem like they just plug them in and have more success.
There was an interesting article in the Tennessean earlier this week. Their prep sports staff is picking Upperman to be the team from the eastern half of the state in the 4A Blue Cross Bowl. Coach Adam Kane's got a lot of kids back, and he likes to play smash mouth football. Right. He's told me a couple of stories about when he played at McCauley. And he likes the contact part, and his kids are going to love it too.
The Owls played their best preseason game at Baxter. I got to watch that game, the scrimmage. Smith County beat them 3-0 with the first team and really out-physicaled Upman. And when you do that, Murphy,
wow,
that's saying something, because Coach Adam Kane, when he was at Sequatchie County and now at Upman, that has been his footprint that he's put on the team, is playing physical football, having a solid defense, and just a smash mouth football running all the time, probably 80%, 85% of the time. We've seen Upperman teams in the past go spread and, really throw it all over the field. But, it's no secret to what Coach Adam Kane and the Upperman Bees want to do.
Yeah, and DeKalb County's kind of that way too. If you don't have a dog in the hunt, we'll see their schedule here in a moment. But I think that Upperman DeKalb game will be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, and that's becoming a pretty big rivalry when they say the battle for Sutter Hill Lake or whatever it is. But let's go ahead and look at the DeKalb County schedule as the they open up. That's always a big rivalry with Warren County. Guys out of McMinnville, they've had some success lately, Murphy, and that should be a great opener in Smithville.
I think so, and it doesn't get any tougher the next week when they have to travel to Smith County. That game as well should be a good one. There's been a lot of knockdown, drag-out battles between those two schools in all sports, and I think that game, Smith County and DeKalb County this year, will be a fun one to watch as well.
Then 3 of the next 4 on DTC 3 here, Macon County going to Smithville, and then Watertown at Smithville on the back-to-back weeks, and then they go to Cumberland County, and then go to Cannon County, and that Cannon County DeKalb is always a bitter rivalry.
It is. That's one of those, as long as we can beat the other one, I don't care if we lose the other 9. You know? So time will tell how good this year's game might be.
Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4A projections. Looking on top is Upperman, DeKalb 2nd, Macon 3rd, Stone Memorial 4th, Cumberland County 5th, Livingston 6th. Murphy, what do you think?
Pretty top-heavy region. Those top 3 teams, I think, are all playoff-bound, and they'll all probably win a first-round playoff game. And if that happens, somebody's going to end up playing somebody twice.
That's for sure. We'll have an interview with Owls head coach Matt Dyer when we return here to the Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
Opioid overdoses continue to claim lives in Tennessee. Naloxone, an opioid reversal drug, can save lives. Call the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition for a free, quick, and confidential training. Also, if you are struggling with substance use disorder due to your alcohol and drug use, help is only a phone call away. Call the Tennessee Red Line. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
And welcome back to the Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team. We've got head coach Matt Dyer in his second year with Smith County. Coach Dyer, I know you had a tremendous season a year ago. You go 2 rounds deep in the playoffs, get very close, lead a good White House team to the very end. They score with just a few seconds left. But I'm sure it's getting to that second round of the playoffs and trying to get to the quarterfinals had to be a great experience for you as a first-year head coach.
It was a very good experience, especially with the young team that we had. We probably told this to anybody that would listen last year. We started 7 sophomores on a defensive unit that was pretty exceptional last year. And we had just as many, maybe 5 or 6 sophomores on the offensive side of the ball. So, a lot of youth, but at the same time, we had a few experienced guys from the year before. To sit there and go your first year, runner-up in the region, 5-5 regular season, then we had kind of a showing out in that first round against Fairview. We kind of put on a Buck Sweet clinic that night. I think we ran for nearly 400 yards against a pretty good Fairview team. Then going into the second round against the number 1 seed, White House, I think it was in consecutive weeks, the Fairview game and the White House game, we had 2 drives, one drive in the fourth quarter of the Fairview game, one drive there at the end of the White House game that eclipsed 9 minutes, and both drives ended with points, to put us in the lead. At Fairview already had the lead, it just extended it, but at White House it put us in the lead with maybe about 90 seconds on the clock, give or take. There at the end, we missed the extra point or got blocked, and it went from a 4-point game to a 3-point game, and it changed what we had to do on defense. I remember Coach Harv, man, he was sweating kind of bullets because we knew White House had a really good kicker, and if we knew we got that extra point to go up 4, they were going to have to drive and score a touchdown. But when we missed our extra point, it kind of changed what we were wanting to do defensively, because we knew if they got to midfield, they had a pretty good shot of kicking a field goal. But, it got aided, that drive, by two personal fouls, and that showed just kind of our youth right there. I think we had a bust in a coverage. We brought a field side blitz, had a bust. They picked up a first down, and when they had 2 first downs aided by a unsportsmanlike and a pass interference. I mean, they had 33 yards right there on that drive, and then I think they hit a fade down there around the 10 or 12 yard line for the score. But it was a great experience for our guys, just being a second round and that close to a quarterfinal game. That would have been huge for us. But we got all of our guys back. We got 10 guys on each side of the ball, and we're ready to make some noise and get some fireworks and popcorn ready.
Matt, even though last year was your first year as a head coach, you did not look like a rookie head coach. And I'm just curious, how much of your preparation was like that of a veteran because of all the years on the sideline when you were 6 and 8 and 10 years old with your dad being a head coach?
But, one thing with Dad being a head coach is kind of growing up around it. Before he, I always joked with him, I was picking his brain and stuff. But, before he got real bad with his dementia, we always would sit down and, just talk with each other and talk a little ball. And, that was special to me, looking back, how things turned out with him and his illness. But, growing up around the game and just being a student of the game, but also with that, I've worked for some really good and worked with some really good coaches. Coach Mark Pemberton, Coach Keith Goolsby, Coach Nathan Wilson. I was able to work with Adam Shaw for a long time, who's the defensive back coach at Gordonsville. We worked well together when we were at Macon, running our defense. But and then of course, playing for Jimmy Maynard and Chuck Gentry, you had all these kind of lessons, and you had these templates that you could follow. And I'm probably a lot like my dad, that I've always got little scrap pieces of paper writing stuff down. I've got practice scripts and schedules from my first year of coaching, 2009. I've got a bunch of Dad's old football stuff going all the way back to his days when he was at Maryville College and Bearden High School. Being able to follow in all those guys' footsteps and take the lessons I learned from them, I always apply that to my preparation and the preparation of our staff. And that's what I work right now with great coaches, having great input from them. It's nothing that, I do. I've always got great people around me. And, I let them do their thing, and I kind of just stay out of the way of them. Coach Keith Powell, Coach Jason Harble, and Coach Billy Barnhart have been great mentors to me last year and this year in our preparation and in our game planning, to develop our guys and get them ready. But, that's what just having a plan for everything has always kind of been what I've liked to do.
Coach, looking at this season, I know that you're excited about it. A lot of Owl fans, with that many people returning on both sides of the ball, are excited. And I guess this Saturday night, showdown in Carthage, and a game that can be seen here on DTC, that's got to be, I know, a special time for you and your team and this program, because you've lost to Gordonsville two years in a row. You've been shut out by them. And I know your senior bunch is anxious to break that 2-game losing skid.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people forget that there was, I believe, a 14, game winning streak of Smith County over Gordonsville. But, they've got the series edge right now, I believe, in the last 5 games. I want to say they've won 3 of the last 5. New coach as well for them, Steven Jackson. He's been doing it for a while at a high level. Defense coordinator at Trousdale and Oakland with Coach Creasy at both stops. He's a great coach. He's a good friend of mine. Even Scott Clemens last year is a good friend of mine, good coach. And, they have a good staff there. They got a rich tradition across the river at Gordonsville. One of my best friends, Coach Adam Shaw, like I mentioned earlier, does the secondary over there. And he had called the offense the last few years as well. But they're a good football team. And I believe they got about 78, 79 kids right now. They got a lot of skill. But yeah, they're a good football team, great history, great culture, great tradition. But it is a county rivalry. And, the community is behind it. They're excited. And, we get to play them at our place. So, everybody's going to have the black and gold on. It's going to be a huge atmosphere. And it's just, I can't wait for it to get here on Saturday night. And I think it's going to be a great experience for everybody.
Matt, one of the things that I've noticed about you, probably more than anything else, is how well you get inside the head of your players. You have those guys convinced if they were going up against the Dallas Cowboys that they could beat the Dallas Cowboys. How do you respond to that? How well you get those kids thinking in a positive mode?
Well, I guess I'm just a young pup still. I don't know, but I just like to bring a little high energy, a little enthusiasm, and a little positivity to it. And I just want to instill that in our guys. But at the same time, we want to create a culture of accountability, and we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to be disciplined. But, I like to have fun as well. And, man, it don't matter if I'm giving my guys a hard time, if I'm poking at the bear, talking about our opponent for the week. But, I like to have a good time. I like to have fun, but I like to get down to business too. And I just want to instill in our guys and our staff, instill in our guys that, we want to be a physical football team. So we're going to have physical practices. And, that's going to play over onto a physical Friday night. And, we sit there and we were scrimmaging Upperman this fall. Upperman's a good 4A football team. Coach Adam Kane, they've got playmakers everywhere. They're big. They have got a reputation for being a big physical football team. And, we scrimmaged at Upperman this year, and we took it to them. We told our guys, it's like, man, boys, we can go toe-to-toe with anybody. It don't matter who you're lining up in front of. You just got to believe that you're going to be a physical football team. You're not going to quit. You're going to be the immovable object, the unstoppable force, and you're going to make them quit. And our guys have really responded well to that message of just taking every single rep, every single play, and just, fighting for inches. You just scraping your claws, fingernails in the dirt and just getting everything you can get and not giving anything back. And our guys have relished that opportunity. We've scrimmaged good football teams the last 2 years. We scrimmaged White House, Upperman, and Watertown last year. We scrimmaged Sparta in the spring. We scrimmaged Upperman, Watertown this fall. And, we just want them to relish the opportunity for great competition. And I think they've responded well to that. And, if we can have a little fun doing it, that's awesome too.
Well, Coach, best of luck to you and the Owls. I know that it seems like a physical brand of football is what you've preached since you got back to be the head man. And I know that, stout on defense and a good run game is the two big positive factors for the Owls this year, and good luck.
I appreciate it, Terry. That was always Jimmy Maynard ball. If we're going to be stout on defense and we're going to run the ball. So that's what we like to do.
Coach, best of luck.
Hey, thank you, Murph, and thank you, Terry. I appreciate y'all.
We want to thank Coach Matt Dyer. Always a great interview, Murph. I know it's a joy for us to get to talk to Matt. He's as passionate about football as his dad, Pat, used to be.
It really is, and we're very blessed to have the head coaches we have in this community. They're top-notch. They really are.
And we'll take a break and be back with more. You're watching The Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com. Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master, certified, and experienced heavy-duty maintenance techs, maintenance supervisor, entry-level and experienced miners and exploration infill drillers, grade operator, electricians, laboratory and metallurgical technician, senior metallurgist, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to The Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team. We've got head coach Steven Jackson in his first year as the head man at Gordonsville. And Coach, first of all, I know you're excited. You're your first year as a head coach at your alma mater. And, it's not like you were a stranger to that area. You folks still live over in the great state of Sykes. And I know you're excited about being back home.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've even been away for 12 years. I've always kept up and been on huddle and watched the games on Saturday mornings before I'd break the games down. Great to be back home.
Stephen, I had a great conversation earlier this week with Coach Kevin Creasy at Oakland, and he said to certainly tell you good luck, but he said Stephen doesn't need good luck. He was with me for 10 years, both at Hartsville and Oakland. And he's got all the faith in the world in you. You helped make those teams state champions, and not a lot of coaches can say that with their first year as a head coach right now.
Yeah, Coach Creasy, I learned a lot from him. I mean, big thing I learned from him was the work ethic on the weekends, breaking down film, trying to have the team prepared for Friday nights, not just trying to go out there on a Friday night and win a game, but win it on Saturday and Sunday, breaking down film and all week in practice.
Stephen, when you look at the success that you had at Oakland with state championships and a great winning percentage there, I feel like it's really prepped you to come back to your hometown. I know you're not going to have maybe the Division I athletes that you had at Oakland, but still, it was a special place on Friday night to watch a football game, much as Turney Ford Field is.
Oh, yes, and I mean we had a lot of success. We had great players. I mean, that always helps you out when you got great players. But I feel like hopefully it helps us here. You're talking about the atmosphere. We would have good atmospheres at Oakland, but we've had a couple scrimmages and then that jamboree this last week, and it's hard to say that we've ever had a crowd like that at a jamboree that we had at Gordonsville this last week.
Coach, the new visiting press box is just outstanding. Thad Underwood and his gang really, in fact, they were finishing that thing up, Coach, as we were entering the press box, putting the final touches on it. I know you got to be pretty proud of that. Just another thing to add to the setting there at Gordonsville High School and being such a special place.
Yes, and we're very appreciative of Thad and the work that they did. They, like you said, they got done that day. It's going to be a great thing, to be able to put visiting coaches over there and DTC being able to get over there and film the games and announce the games from there. And last week was a pretty busy week getting that done, and we got new goalposts. Bonnell had made us some new goalposts, so getting those up was trying to just make our facilities, state of the art.
Stephen, Terry alluded to the fact that you may not have the talent that Oakland had, but you certainly have numbers. There's probably, you can count on one hand the number of 1A schools in the state that have as many kids out for football as you do at Gordonsville, and that's got to make you feel good about the upcoming season, the depth factor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have 72 kids right now. We started with about 80, but we're down to about 72. So, the good thing is getting everybody work during practice. There ain't a lot of people standing around. We're trying to, get offense work, get defense work. We're working the sophomores and juniors, just sophomores and freshmen, just as much as we're working the juniors and seniors, trying to build depth for the future, trying to, play a lot of kids this year. I mean, I think that's one thing that, playing at Oakland early on, we had, I guess, kind of the Trazewell County approach of play, best 11. We'd play 18, 19, 20 kids at Oakland, and then we'd run into Maryville High School that played 22. They started 22 different kids on offense and defense. So we're, just having the depth, allows kids to play as hard as they can all game when they don't have to play 120 snaps a game.
Coach, it probably wasn't a difficult situation to go back to your alma mater, but I can't help but wonder when Scott made the decision to step down, was this thing already in the works when Scott left and everybody was scratching their head, who are we going to get to be the next head coach here at Tigertown?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Clemens had called me and Coach Baden, Coach Agee, and Coach Petty, and I've always wanted to come back, and I just, it felt like the right time. We, just always wanted to come back home, so the time was just right.
Stephen, you have a lot of former alumni on your staff that are committed to Gordonsville High School, the community, born and raised here, and, that makes it mean more, I think, when you have people like that on your staff.
Oh, yes, sir. That was, that's one of the unique things about this place is, guys that coaching on this staff, most of them coached with me or coached me in high school, and then 3 guys played with me. We all graduated together, and then Coach Shaw, we coached together at Trazewell County, and then he came up here, I think 4 years ago. So yeah, it's like a family. I mean, all of our families get along. It's, a good atmosphere.
Coach, there's got to be an awfully strong, positive nature there at Gordonsville. I noticed this week the Tennessean listed all 130 some odd teams in Middle Tennessee, and the Gordonsville Tigers were the highest ranked single A team in the mid-state. That's got to give the kids a great feeling of pride, knowing that people all over the mid-state know about Gordonsville and the tradition of football over there.
Oh, yes, sir. That's, it's awesome to have, the attention on our program. And we know that, with that, we're going to get everybody's best shot, when they play us. And that's, what we want. We don't want easy games. I mean, we want games that are, we're going to have to work for. So I think it's a great thing that we was, recognized as that.
Stephen, when you look at this year's team, you have a lot of people back from a year ago. Of course, I know they went to South Pittsburgh and lost, but a lot of teams have done that through the years in the playoffs. But when you look at the quality of players that return, of course, including your quarterback, Matthew Albritton, who is a senior, his fourth year to start. Unfortunately, of course, Sam Albritton suffered the injury. But when you look at Dudney and some of those guys that have been with the program for a long time and have started some 2, 3, 4 years, it's got to make you feel good, even in your first year as a head coach, to have that experience returning.
Yes, that's, not many people that come into a head coaching job would have, 9 back on one side and 8 back on the other. And like you said, guys that started for 3 years, a couple of them have started for 4 years. So that's having experience playing on Friday nights. There's no substitution for that. It's they've been through it, so they know how to handle adverse situations.
Stephen, I can't help but wonder, being with Kevin Creasy and being one of his coordinators for so long, there's probably not much that you have not seen as an assistant coach as far as being a head coach is concerned. Was there anything at taking over that position at Gordonsville that maybe you were a little surprised about or not quite prepared for?
I feel like I was prepared for it. Just with Coach Creasy, all the duties of being a head coach. I've never had to do it. I had to do it middle school one time when I coached in Trousdale County, but just all the staying organized and all that stuff was something that was. I feel like I'm kind of organized, but this first year I've obviously learned, trying to stay organized is going to be a big thing I got to do. But I feel like I was pretty prepared for it.
Stephen, when you look, you've done some things in preseason that not traditional of Gordonsville. One being a hurry-up offense. But you've got a lot of weapons on that side of the football. And, of course, you've got a very experienced quarterback. And then you've got a couple of backups at quarterback if you need them, in Jay Foster and Peyton Clymer that, can take over the reins. And I know, that Matthew has, had some injury problems here in the preseason, but still you got to feel pretty solid for even down the road with the people that you've got at the signal calling position.
Right, yeah, and that's, coming into this position, we're trying to keep the offense some of the same we did last year, but some of the stuff that we're doing, might have gave me trouble when I was calling defense. So, some of the tempo stuff it just puts pressure on the defense to get lined up. So, and it all goes. You can do it if you have a good guy at quarterback that understands what you're trying to accomplish, why we're doing this, I feel pretty good about the quarterback position for the, for now and for the future, the experience that we're going to have, the knowledge at quarterback.
Well, Stephen, I know your team's excited about going over to Carthage on Saturday night to get the 2022 season underway, and it should be a great atmosphere and a great night for football.
Oh, yes, sir. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully the stands are full and they're going to see a great game. Carthage has a great football team. I mean, they got, being on the 6A level, they probably are bigger than most 6A teams that are out there now. And but they are very talented. They got good quarterback play, good running back play, and their defense is, they'll be one of the best in the state this year.
Well, Coach, best of luck to you and the Tigers, and we look forward to seeing you on our DTC Game of the Week on Saturday night in Carthage.
All right, thank y'all.
We want to thank head coach Stephen Jackson of the Gordonsville Tigers. Looks to that they're going to have a great season, and I know they're excited about football over in Gordonsville. And we'll have more of the box score when we return. It's brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
So, go check it out.
Deterring crime. It's the first job of a home security system from DTC Security. For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation. There's never been a better time to get started. Let us help protect your home.
So?
A lot of nice stuff and an alarm.
Don't delay. Call DTC Security now or visit us online.
Don't be fooled. Vaping is just another way to deliver nicotine to your lungs. Learn the facts and escape the vape. We get it. Quitting is hard, but getting help is easy. Call the Tennessee Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW for free counseling and cessation patches. Sign up for the free Tennessee Tobacco Quit line program and let us help you quit for good. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
And welcome back to the box score for the final segment. Murphy, we're kind of going to highlight you here. I know that pressure's on. Everybody wants to predict predictions. Everybody wants to know the winners of the game.
I do too.
But, it's sometimes tough, Murph, because you can't really base it on what people have got coming back, because some teams falter, some teams excel. And you hadn't got to see, I'm sure, every scrimmage of every team. But still, it's exciting.
It is. Sometimes my heart gets in the way too.
Right.
You can't help but pick those teams that you love because you think so much of the head coaches or whatever.
That's for sure. Let's go ahead and get ready for football game night on Saturday over in Carthage at Al Stadium, Gordonsville at Smith County. DTC 3 will be there. 6:45 will be the airtime, and then 7 o'clock the tip or the kick, Murphy, and it should be a great ball.
It would be real tempting to watch that in the comfort confines of my home in my Lazy Boy recliner. But I think I'm going to be there. It's always a good one when the Super Bowl of Smith County is on the air.
Look at the series history. Of course, Smith County, kind of a one-sided advantage, but Gordonsville's won 3 of the last 4, Murphy. And when you look at that, they've shut out the Owls the last 2 years. And I know a lot of those sophomores and juniors that got wins over the Owls want to close out that senior season in a great way and get 3 in a row.
But don't you think the guys on the other side of the field have that same feeling? Right. They want to break that streak. And I noticed in the Tennessean rankings earlier this week, Smith County's actually rated 6 or 8 slots higher than Gordonsville is. Right. So it'll be interesting to see if they know what they're talking about.
Right. Gordonsville in the 1A category, and Smith County in the 3A when you look at that. And I know that these are people that go to church with each other. They see each other at Crump Parish Ballpark. They're families that are split by this.
Sure.
And it just makes for a fun rivalry.
It really does, and it goes back a long, long time, almost 100 years, that they've been playing each other. So this is one of those that as long as we win this game, it's a good year.
Right. For sure. Let's go ahead and look at some picks. Murphy, we're going to turn you loose here. Start out with, what should be an excellent Fayetteville team again, traveling to Watertown.
It'll be interesting to see how many players that were on the Fayetteville team last year stay in Fayetteville because a lot of those kids were recruited out of Alabama, and with their former coach now being a coach at Florence, Alabama, I'd be very curious to find out how many of those kids make the transition. I would have to pick Fayetteville in this game either way. The same with DeKalb County. It's always a big border war between they and the Warren County squad, but I think DeKalb County's got a shot to win that one. I'd really like to see Cannon get a win against Monterey, but that Coach Hughes does such a great job up on the mountain with those kids, and with their enrollment pushing them up into 2A. I thought they'd be in trouble last year, but they did very well at that level. And then, oh dear, we got to pick one here, and that's going to be tough.
You do. I don't.
Well, you better not. You're going to be under the microphone. I'm gonna go with the Blue on that one, though. They've got a lot of kids back, but so does Smith County. I think this one's going to boil down to who makes the most mistakes is going to be on the losing end. Should be a great ball game.
Let's go ahead and look at some games in East Tennessee. Murph, go ahead.
Boyd Buchanan at Greenback. It's Gary Rankin's first game as the head coach of Boyd Buchanan. They handled Greenback pretty good last year, a very one-sided ball game. I'm going to have to go with Boyd. Rankin likes to win football games, and I don't see him not winning that one. Oak Ridge and South Doyle, both of those teams have new head coaches. Clark Duncan is now helping out with the Cookville team. Oak Ridge now being coached by the guy who was at Knoxville Hall, Scott Cummings, last year. I think Oak Ridge probably wins that game, even though it's at South Doyle. And then Oneida at Williamsburg. They're kind of meeting in the middle. Corbin, Kentucky, kind of halfway between Oneida and Williamsburg, and I'm going to have to go with Williamsburg in that one.
Let's go ahead and look at some Middle Tennessee picks and let Murph expound on those.
Blackman at Brentwood. I think Blackman could be the team to watch this year. They've got a great quarterback. They've got 3 or 4 really good receivers. They like to throw the football, and most people are looking at Oakland or Riverdale to be the teams to beat, but I think Blackman's got a shot to beat one of those, and I think they start the season well at Brentwood.
Murphy, Independence, and CPA always 2 really good football teams over the last few years.
Scott Stidham, one of my favorite coaches, he was at South Gibson for the last few years, last year and a few before that. They gave Oakland a great scare last week. He's doing really well there, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they don't get the upset there. There's word that Ingle Martin, the CPA coach, might have to miss that game because his son will be playing in the Little League World Series in Williamsport. So
Henry County at Summit. Henry County, they're tradition rich.
Yeah, Henry County 5A Summit up at the 6A level now in that game at Summit, but they don't have the Wade twins anymore, and I think Henry County maybe pulls the upset.
Let's go ahead and look at some West Tennessee picks.
Christian Brothers at Germantown, always a good one. I think that game is a great public-private contest, and being played at Germantown, I'm going to have to go with the Red Devils in that one.
Murphy, Westview, and Dresden.
Yep, they play that one at UT Martin every year. And Westview, the defending 2A state champion, I think they've got enough kids back. They don't have the quarterback that they had last year. He's wearing an Alabama uniform now. But I think Westview still wins that one going away.
Scott Murray in his second year up at Clarksville Academy and on the road, and they really had a good season a year ago.
Yeah, we've got the McDaniel family well represented on that sheet right there, because Thomas McDaniel, the coach at Christian Brothers, is the older brother of another McDaniel who's coaching at FACS, and I think FACS, that's First Assembly Christian School. I think they win that one.
Should be some fun games, and week 1 is always exciting.
I think so. It's kind of the measuring stick. A lot of border wars, if you will. I think Shelbyville's still playing Tullahoma, although Tullahoma, the 4A champion from last year, had a lot of seniors on that team and a really good quarterback. But plenty of great football action every week across the Volunteer State this year.
We want to thank all our fine sponsors, our title sponsors, Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team, Huff and Puff Trucking, Nyrstar, Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition, KFC Taco Bell of Gordonsville and Smithville, and Sonic of Carthage. And for Justin Malden and for Murphy Farron, I'm Terry Collins. First edition of the Box Score in the books.